The Crash Course Podcast is brought to you in part by DerbyParts.com. Overkill Derby products at OverkillDerby.com. Full Lockwood Motorsports and the 2015 Keystone National. Scioppa Racing and ScioppaRacing.com. Ultimate Derby and Blizzard Bash 2015. Demo Derby Master. Reckless Abandon Derby apparel at RecklessAbandonGear.com. And Derby Inc. magazine. Live it, breathe it, be it, Derby Inc. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt. And here we are, back live here. Trackside inspections going on behind us. The qualifying teams going through on one scale, rechecks being done on the other. Busy night for a lot of these teams as they went through their first round of tech inspection. I don't even know if officially everybody has a stick, but we have been told that all the cars are going to be able to compete at this point, including fixes made to the number 200 car of Craig Lemeninger. His car nestled in right next to the other three black and tan Team Nearett cars, and he's going to be in action. So lots of work being done to get that car back in the mix, and ran into a couple people in the pits. They're Now it's starting to get really intense out there. They have been doing some serious work. Jimmy Johnson still no axles, no rear wheels on his Buick for the Team Kansas crew. And I know we've got some more stuff that we're trying to follow along. We don't want to put anything out there prematurely. We've been able to confirm that Scioppa Racing will be running in full. Yep. Those cars are almost done already. Ben was wandering around in the pits a little bit earlier. Would you see anybody that was making major changes to the point where you're kind of looking at it saying, boy, they still got a long way to go before they get across the tech decks?
No, I mean, there's nothing. I mean, all changes and fixes I think these guys are doing are easily going to be able, not easily going to be able to be done, but there's nothing that's just extreme going to be cutting cars apart, and they're not going to be able to compete. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to be able to handle their fixes. It's just the amount of time. You know, it comes down to, you know, it seems like they got a lot of time, but when you're out there hustling and bustling, the next thing you know, it's like, holy shit, we only got a couple hours left, you know.
But, you know, a lot of these guys know coming in that they're going to cut today. I mean, they did stuff on their cars knowing that, well, most likely we're going to take this off.
Well, it's one of those deals where the guys that are walking back with the sheets that are loaded are smiling because what got caught for one, there's 10 things that didn't get caught. So
possibly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that personally myself, I'll add stuff just for them to catch, to throw them off for the other stuff, you know. So it's the name of the game.
Said our resident builder.
Yeah,
that's the name of the game.
Well, and it's funny because in our area that really hasn't caught on yet. But you know, certain areas it's just like that's the style of that's just what they do. Like,
right.
Look at the Atkins. They always joke about it, but you know, Chris always says like I'm gonna go with way more stuff than I'm allowed to do because I'd rather, if I do 10 things, only 9 get caught. I'm one ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, you always overbuild and cut there.
But really, Ben, in our area, that's never been the mentality. You know, there's guys
really.
That do it, but it's not the mentality. Like, you know, when you go to some of these Ohio shows, it's like everyone did that. Everyone's out back cutting.
I learned that lesson, yes.
It's interesting.
Did you ever do the thing where you overbuild and have to cut when you get there?
Never. I've said it a million times. I have no desire to build a car and then go through inspection and rebuild the car. It doesn't do anything for me. I would much rather come and just have a little bit to do, and if anything, and then just drive. If I can't compete, then I'll just make junk quick and go home.
What about that crazy cheated tilted Ford that you ran?
The one that you pulled back, you untilted?
Yeah, the one I untilted, and that was. But nowhere in the rules did it say we couldn't tilt, so I just give it a shot.
A lot of it is too. I mean, these guys, they're coming. I mean, they're literally expecting to rebuild cars after heats and everything else. So they're coming with a mindset, and it's just.
If you're ever going to do it, it's here. I mean, if you're ever going to spend the time and cut cars apart and add new parts, I mean. This is where your crew is going to be at their top game, you know. So it's like you say, it's everyone knows they were coming in cut, and everyone knew there was going to be 30 things on their sheets.
Yeah, and their full crews, the crews these guys got are just insane. I mean, they're the guys that are there in the shop for months building them, you know. So they bring them right along, and in the facility that he has out there is guys just compliment about it, you know.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Now the question that I have is, would you guys say that there is more cutting and fixing here? or there's more cutting and fixing at Bash for Cash. Because without a doubt, 2 biggest shows we go to in a year.
Per car, you're saying? Because, like,
Yeah.
well, Basher Cash is double the amount of cars.
Yeah, but I mean per car. What would you?
There's the same amount.
I would agree with Ben. Yeah, I would say same amount.
Same thing.
Guys are pushing, and guys are pushing the envelope at each show. At a level show like that, everybody's pushing the limit. So you're gonna have close to the same amount.
You know, I get what Brian was saying when he's saying, like, you don't want to go and do all that extra stuff, but that's like at a county fair or at a smaller show where you're saying, like, you know, if I win, I win. But at a place like this, you almost, like, if you're going to go and put all this money in and all this time and all this effort, you better just do those little things, because if not, you're still kind of like, you're kind of wasting your time at this level. It's like, just stay home and let someone else that wants to, right? Kind of, Ben?
Well, yeah, but that's why you and I would never run a show
No
this
way.
level.
I can't.
I mean, the main team show. I mean, I wouldn't mind running one of the old school iron classes out
Same
here or
with
something
me.
like that,
Same
where
with me.
you know, I mean, it's not a huge build, and you know, but just as I mean, what I've said before, I love watching these cars run. It's great to look at, you know, the way people have built stuff and the way things are done, but it's just, you know, I mean, there's one of the 4 of us up here that would like to build one of these cars. You know, I mean, it's just. But
Ben's also ahead of the curve, you know, like you and I are
absolutely.
kind of behind the curve. So us to look at a 03 Vic frame in the garage, you know, I'm sitting there like, okay, I'm going to push this outside. You know, but Ben sits there just salivating like, okay, I got to do this and this and this and this and this.
Going on back there.
Yeah, you know, the one thing about the motors here, how many guys do we hear yesterday say, yeah, I had a motor built just for today. I had my fresh motor today. There's just so many awesome motors. Not just everyone's best stuff, but people went out and had stuff built just for today, you know, and that's cool. I haven't heard, you know, Bandal said it yesterday. Have you guys heard a bad motor yet today? And I have
Absolutely not.
I have not heard a bad motor today or yesterday.
You know, Sam, he had some work to do. The Cordovas went across the line. They had a little bit of work to do. I know this angle's a little low. Once that car gets lifted up in the air, you see it slowly climbing into the rafters here at the Kansas Expo Center. You'll be able to get a good look at that green and gray team. Those are among the qualifying teams. They do their heat draws a little bit later on. So we had a couple of people ask, you know, where's Colton Newhoff and where's Jesse Hoffmeister? Who are they up against? What's their pairing? They haven't drawn their heats yet because this is their first shot at even going over the lift. So those guys have a busy afternoon ahead of them. We talked to Matt Ertman. He said he got his car in line early, so if he did have a bunch of work to do, he could easily get that stuff done without having the time crunch, because basically all tech has to be concluded by 5 o'clock, and then we go into production mode where at 7 o'clock the first green flag is going to drop over the qualifying heats for both the national and qualifying brackets. So we're going to see some pretty crazy action here a little bit later on. But that is all that we're going to have here today. It's just the qualifying and national team first round. Tomorrow, it's going to be repair of team cars from 10 to 3, inspection of 80s mod, 80 stock, old iron stock, and youth cars from 9 to 5. 7 o'clock is event 2. Round 2 for the national and qualifying teams, 80s mod heats, the youth 14 to 17 division, and the transition youth 16 to 21. And what a great feature those were last year.
Yeah, those kids are gonna. They're definitely not gonna let anybody down. I mean, they're gonna put a hell of a show on.
Well, kids always do, because they like Ben was saying yesterday when we were talking to Sam. Sam's son's in there. I think, what is he, 14, 15, somewhere. 13. Jeez.
Yeah, he has a better car than you've ever had in your life, and he's 13.
Yeah, I think he's won more derbies. Sam was saying the kid's won. Right, he won a couple of youth derbies. But they have no fear.
He's got to win.
Yeah, they don't know that's it's going to hurt.
I know that when I hit that guy across the track, my teeth are going to hurt, you know. But this kid doesn't even know that yet. He's got to learn it, you know. And that's what's fun about youth derbies, just wide open. Plus, usually a lot of times the kids aren't, they're not thinking their shots through as well. So it's kind of more of like our area where it's just wide open, hitting whatever's in front of you, whatever's behind you, and the crowd loves those kind of derbies because you're just junking iron.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're still. I always say they're still a little rubbery.
Yeah, they don't know that it's gonna hurt.
Some of the,
They're not worried about their teeth hurting because they haven't got their grown-up teeth yet.
That's awesome.
But they have just as much pride and everything else.
Sure.
If not more.
Heart, sure.
And it's just awesome to watch them out there.
Imagine you were 13 pulling out on a Blizzard Bash track. I mean, that's some lucky kids, you know? I mean, I don't know if I'd want to run that hard a car at that young age. But they're actually stock, right?
Yeah, they're pretty close.
Thanks, Elvis.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Elvis. Yeah, I think it's a pretty light build, comparable to the.
You
other
got to have
classes.
the cars bend. You don't want the kids' brains bending.
No,
Yeah.
no.
You don't want no kids with concussions, and that's a real thing. You don't want any kids getting hurt, you know. So you're right. You got to draw back the build.
You know, I think that's the one thing is like, you know, and obviously more so than you because you've run the harder cars, you know, on a couple of your trips. But the thing with us is, I mean, we drive fairly hard, but we're used to cars given.
Yes.
I mean, you know, we've all had our bells rung and all that good stuff, but I mean, you get to this level and the give just isn't there. I mean, you're taking so much more of the abuse. But there's definitely a.
When I was about 17, 18, Richie Predmore full tracked me.
No,
that was my
stop.
first 67 Imperial.
Stop.
Okay, so I think I'm bulletproof. You know, I'm gonna beat Richie. I didn't, but he tracked me, and it was nose and nose. You know, 2 hard-nosed imp subs. Bam! I'll never forget it. I remember just like it hurt like right in the front of my face, you know, and I remember saying like absolutely not, never again. And when I am in derbies, sometimes like that pain, you think about that pain. Until I went out west and I started I went to Bird Island with Jesse Keel, and I realized that those cars were so much harder than that shot that I took from Richie all them years ago. And the force, it's hard to describe if you never hit like that, but it's just like everything comes forward.
Yeah. Feels like your brain's coming out of your nose.
Your eyes, your nose, your teeth, you just feel it through your face, and it's like, man, I'm not into that.
Man, just go over and run into the concrete wall.
That's what it feels like. If you ever run into a tree, when I was younger, I used to run into trees sometimes with cars, and it hurts. Trees don't move.
No, there's not much movement in trees.
These cars are harder than trees.
Ben was telling us a story about his apple tree at home.
Do that
Yep.
for fun.
Out behind Mom and Butch's.
Do that for fun.
And it hurts, right?
Oh, yeah.
Trees don't give.
No.
I've went through windshields
Right.
as a kid.
Right, okay.
I've had through windshields, so in car accidents, so that's you're no joke.
Yeah.
Jesse Keel's listening at home. He says that he wants to hear Ben a little bit louder. I thought Ben was doing a good job, but if
Yeah,
you,
Ben's way better today.
I'm way louder today.
I know
than
if you wouldn't mind pulling that just a little bit closer so Jesse
I'm
can
good.
hear you.
I'm good. I'm good. Jesse will hear me.
You got to yell. Good old Jesse
If he yells,
Keel.
they'll start swearing.
That's fine.
I talked to
No one's
Jesse's
worried
dad.
about that. No one
Jesse's
feels
dad
bad.
cracks me up.
Yeah.
I love talking to him.
Now, Chris or Josh, did you say you wanted to go back up there and run one of those iron hard cars?
I
with
would.
Jesse.
I had a good time. I like Jesse. You know, it was a good time. Dude, I learned so much in the 8 hours that we swapped a motor and tranny out of a car and into a car. It was a constant
And then swapped
learning.
another motor that didn't really need to be swapped.
No, it did. He did way better that night because he swapped it, you know.
Yeah.
But also, it was like a clinic. He was teaching me. He taught me a lot that day.
It was funny when Jesse and Sam came down to the Coos show and to see people looking at their cars there. Because I mean, there was some nice stuff there, but I think Jesse and Sam might have had the 2 hardest cars.
Oh, without a doubt.
absolutely.
And to see people looking at those and their minds were just blown.
You know, I was really impressed because I haven't talked to Quentin, Jesse's dad, since Coos, and he said that it was one of the most fun derbies he'd been to in a long time. The atmosphere, the people, and how we ran. Even Bandow said, you know, you guys always, I watch your videos, you talk about how hard you guys ran. He's like, your area super impressed me. You guys were like true just junk and stuff, you know, and it was cool to hear that, you know, like that was the thing about Coos was to kind of show with the rest of the country that we're in the game, you know,
Yeah.
and it did. And to hear guys that have been all over the country coming and saying like, I really liked your group of guys. It was good for the area. It was cool. I'm proud of the guys there.
Nobody liked you, but I mean, they like to show the
It
drivers.
doesn't matter. Hey,
They had nothing
used
to
to
do. They had nothing to do with Kings of Old School.
yeah, no one likes me. Period.
Josh was getting booed by people when he walked out of the bathroom earlier.
I had someone spitting from the stands. A woman.
Oh,
A woman
If
spitting
it
from the
would have
stands.
been a guy, I would have hit him for you. I don't do
Well, the
well
guy
with
that was
spit.
standing next to, we almost fought in a beer tent later in the day. Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
If you're listening at home, you know who you are. Is
Yeah, well, some people are just like they start drinking and they just get classless, and I'm not standing for it at my derby. I'll tell you that much right now.
So, Ben, you had a chance. Again, we saw the qualifying teams up there on the lift right now. This green and gray team, Tony Horn among them, ready to go over the scale. Saw a crazy old, I think it was a Cadillac that's staged over here off the vantage point of the camera at this point. That green and gray team's pretty built.
Yes, yeah. These qualifying teams are not. They're not to be.
Taken lightly.
Yeah, don't throw them under the rug. I mean, they're built just as good, if not as good as the national, the main teams, and they're not to be doubted at all. I mean, just because they're not in the main thing means nothing at all to me. I mean, they're just as hard.
Well, they're driving for the right to get into that national draw next year.
Right. And they're pushing the envelope just like everybody else.
Yeah, it's kind of like college football and pros. Now the pros, and it's not a great example, but it seems like the guys that are in the second division
Are more hungry.
heart,
More
excited,
hungry.
pumped. Like when you go talk to them, a lot of them guys are just jazzed up. Colton was he's like, I am fired up. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I live for. It's
You brought up a perfect example of college football versus pro football.
Mm-hmm.
Because I watch college football. I hardly ever watch pro football
Mm-hmm.
because they have something to prove
Absolutely.
and they get it done.
Think of the heats last year, and it could be just random, but let's think of the Kunkel heat, right?
yeah.
When it was just dude, there was nothing left of cars, rear ends hanging out. Those guys were just junking each other, and it's like, man, these guys are going to that last, just giving it everything, It's like, it was one of the best heats. Think of the JYD heat. Remember that one that was 2 a.m? It was the last heat of the night, and we were falling asleep, and then all of a sudden JYD come out and just smoking stuff, and by the end of it, you're just all fired up. And
When
stuff.
that was over, the grandstands was cheering.
Yes. Yes.
Loud.
And remember, I think pay-per-view, some cut us off or something, so people at home didn't get to watch that, right? Didn't that happen?
Boy, I don't know. Pay-per-view link, by the way, another number of people asking about that. ksexpo.com/BlizzBashPPV. BLIZBASHPPV. You can find that all there. We're going to be live tonight starting probably around 6:30 or so. We'll talk a little bit about how the afternoon progresses, then we'll roll into the evening's qualifying rounds. Starting at 7 o'clock. The schedule says 7 to 10, so safely assume that you're going to be with us online straight through till 3 a.m.
Absolutely.
Josh is looking up, getting ready to share more links, I assume.
Sure.
Our schedule today got thrown a little bit for a curveball. We were planning on going on a little bit later, but we found after they'd run all the cameras and they've got a lot of the lighting and stuff done, so they're almost done with that move-in process for us upstairs. So we got to take all the stuff that you see on the table and take it upstairs and get everything set up there so that we can go through the process of this afternoon sound checks and getting the cameras and everything set. They told us that we will be able to see and communicate with the other side better than we did last year.
Did they get us recliners?
Nope.
Now, does Josh still have the red
Actually,
carpet?
they told us to bring these chairs with us.
Does Josh?
No.
Does Josh still? Does he have the red carpet and they're going to play music and stuff when he walks into the booth, or how is that
I
going to
hate you,
happen?
Brian. Everyone hates you.
Actually, they asked me if who was going to be on the air with us. And I said, well, it's the four of us. He goes, well, we need your names. And I said, you don't remember Josh from last year? I said, no, the other guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, they knew him coming in.
You're
We
so
were walking
corny,
in,
dude.
and I can't remember the guy's name, but I think he one of the bosses here at the Expo Center.
Phil, guy
we
with
walked
glasses?
in, tall guy,
Mitch.
younger gentleman, and he walked in, and I showed him. He kind of looked at me when I was walking in. I showed him. He goes, "Oh yeah." He goes, "I know who you are." He goes, "You're that guy that carries Josh Decker's bags." And I said, "Yes, sir. I carry Josh Decker's bags. Thanks."
Yep.
It's a cross. I mean, it's just nice that Josh has done all this nice stuff for us.
Listen, when I get the airport, right? I pull on my spot. Chris pulls in behind me, and Chris just grabs all my bags and just starts carrying all my bags in. He takes a piece of gum. I was opening a thing of gum. He
And he
takes it
hands
out
it
of my
to me.
hand. He takes it, opens a piece of gum, and then he tries to take it out. I was in tears laughing. If anyone was watching it, it's what a loser this guy is.
Oh wow.
It's funny because some people will message me, people that do not know me, okay, and people. maybe people don't.
I think the best part of our
I'm
trip
not a
coming through
prima donna.
Syracuse, going through TSA, was how they didn't ask for Josh's ID.
Yeah, and they swabbed my hands. For,
Oh yeah, Ben had
They
explosives on
swapped
his
Ben's
hands.
hands for explosives. They didn't ask for Josh's ID. It's like, sir, we're on the same show. We sit side by side.
It was weird. I like grabbed Ben. You could see their faces change. It's like, sir, over here, hands out. It's like, oh no,
it's all
Ben.
because they didn't take the money out of my pocket.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, that's true.
Yeah,
They're pretty
that
filthy
is
about
right.
it.
That
Why is
a-
that?
I'm not going to put cash in a bucket and let it walk away from me.
Hey, it's only
Sorry.
money.
People with Josh Ecker money can say that,
I
but
just
us
throw
poor
it at
guys-
them. You know, it's like you keep it.
Well, they're not finding it. I mean, I try to keep it light going through stuff like that, but they took their job serious.
Yeah, they were grumpy that day. Well, that guy was the first guy that came through. Was where are you guys going? And we said we were, going to a big derby. And he started telling us about running derbies and going to weed sport, and so it was pretty cool.
It's like, sir, leave me alone. Just let me get through this TSA thing. It's annoying because they're asking dumb questions, and it's just like they're screening you. It's like, don't ask me stupid questions. Just like look at me and tell me go or not, because that's all they're doing.
Yeah, we have to search X number of people per day, and that's all about the cool.
It's just BS.
Yeah. I think
Just
on the
search
way
us
back-
all
I
or
think
don't.
on the way back, I'm just not going to answer.
No, Ben, please, we gotta get home, man. It's we're leaving you wherever you get hung up.
We'll see.
We'll go to Walmart and I'll go to the gun section and just
Not,
No.
not a good idea.
start handling shotgun shells and stuff.
And then go load a plate. Oh, that's funny.
Oh man,
It's like I don't know that guy, sir. I don't even know that guy.
Chris,
Says he's
what do you
sitting next to
think?
you.
What do you think of the event so far?
I think it's loud. Who's moving in here? Dog got him off.
Some of these guys sit so deep in their car. I mean, they're so deep. They cannot see.
Mike Worth isn't. Mike Worth's steering wheel is literally as close to him as this microphone is to my face.
His motor is insanely nasty.
This ain't the only one.
Oh my god, man! They pulled out this morning. Oh, you guys are when they pulled out of that thing, and it's just like shaking the building, and it's so crisp, so crisp, He raps.
There's
on
some
it.
folks that were in there talking about Jason Dial's team, the pink and black. I was like, those are soft cars. Those are it's like,
Absolutely not.
No, they're not.
Absolutely.
Far from soft.
That is not a cakewalk.
Dude,
At all.
If you ask
They-
me, there's not a soft car here. Period.
I mean,
no,
it's,
in the last couple of years, we've seen a bunch of Mopars, and it's picked up more and more
you're
and more.
hard pressed to get a pecking order in the national bracket, qualifying bracket too, for that matter. You're hard pressed to get a pecking order. Say this team is the best, and this team is. This team's the best, and this team's fifth, and this team's ninth, and this team's 16th. Because
no.
the margins between the two of them, there's not a lot of room between those two. And
No.
then with some of the stuff that we're getting word of here, as things are developing back there, we're going to try and follow that a little bit more because that seems like it's an insane stretch for this to be true. So I'm going to kind of monitor this as we go, do a little bit of fact checking once we get
Yes,
done and
before
talk about it more
we
tonight
yell it.
before we pull the lid off this thing. But that's going to be a game changer unto
major.
itself, big time.
Yes, there's some changes coming. Yeah, well, hey, somebody's gonna smile and someone's gonna be upset, right? But hey, that's
Somebody's going to smile and somebody's going to be upset.
Yep.
That could be the understatement of the day.
Yep. Damn, that sounds awesome. That sounds so good.
I asked him about that motor that we just heard fire up behind us. He said that is a stock 305 that came out of an 82 Camaro.
I think he was BSing you.
I asked him. He goes, no, trust me, I'm totally serious. He wouldn't lie. Derby drivers don't lie, Josh.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They're always honest.
So a lot of conversation about the 6-inch rule on the wrap of your Crossmember. We didn't get a chance to get into a lot of that detail earlier, but Sam Bandow had some work to do with his team, choosing to look at their 6 inches in the middle, going left to right,
and instead it was supposed to be basically as one of his crew members so eloquently described it. They needed to have the Brazilian, the gap in the middle, the
Brazilian.
MOMA of sorts. And so how do you go about making that change? Because some of that was some pretty serious metal that was welded in there, and that isn't particularly thick underneath what they've plated.
Yeah, what the rule is here is, let's just picture a GM or a Ford engine crossmember. You're allowed to plate the downward sloping sides where your motor mounts would sit. You can plate that section, but the bottom section there, you have to have a 6-inch open area, and they're calling it what were they calling it? Twist area, which we all know cross members are going to bend there. But my question, Ben, is like, if you're going to take your cradle, and we've seen 1,000 cradles welded down. When you drop your cradle on that 6-inch area and weld it across the front of that, it's not going to, right?
Right.
Okay, I thought I was missing something in the explanation. It's like when you put your cradle in, you're filling that 6-inch twist zone.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Now more so with the way that the oil pan and motor was situated over the Crossmember, is that gap going to make that much of a difference on Sam and TJ's car?
Well, on Bandau's, I guess also, Ben, what they're saying is you can't do top or bottom, right? You couldn't plate the top of it or the bottom of it. So what they're telling these guys are, okay, you welded your motor down on the top, fine, right? Like we were talking. But as far as the bottom, you're going to have to cut the plate off the bottom. You got to leave a 6-inch, right. What you're saying, the Brazilian.
Bottom, my understanding, I would have interpreted it would have been the bottom side of it that you would have to leave open.
Right.
Because when you're welding, when you're slapping it down on top, your cradle down on top and welding it on the top anyway, it's no different than putting a plate on the top.
Right.
If you utilize your side mounts up with the cradle.
Yes.
So I can see where the interpretation guys are getting upset with it, and you know, and I also see their concern and the actual reasoning why they don't understand why it's not right, you know, and it's just one of them sticky things, you know. It's one of them things where if you don't spell it right out at this level, if it's not spelled right out, you're gonna get so many interpretations from so many different areas. You know.
Well, last night they were fighting about we talked about one word changes a rule.
Oh, absolutely.
Sam was screaming last night. The word "of" is screwing me here. The word "of,"
yeah.
You know, and it was interesting to hear because yes, you thought the word "of" was in the sentence, and it was not.
Yeah.
And when they read the rule out loud, it's like, okay, the word "of's" not there, and it totally changed what you could do.
Hey, real quick behind us, and let me see if I can even try to get the camera on this. It's pretty low. We got the Derby Tees banners along this fence, and it's like 400 feet of banners. It's crazy. Behind it is this number 23, and I can't figure out what that thing is, but that is...
So I think it's an Olds, 98.
Any guesses? Anybody?
Pretty sure it's an Olds. I gotta go look at it. Ben will look at it insanely quick and say,
Ben, jump in there real quick.
I can't see because of the banner, but that's Foon. I think he
One
built
adult,
an
some
Olds.
technical guy.
That looked like it was like one of the guys we were talking to last night about some of those 68, 69, 70 Cadillacs.
No, that's an Olds. That's a 4, 5, or 6.
So, Josh, I hear 69 Cadillacs are tougher than you thought.
You know, you gotta keep your mouth shut. Shut your goddamn mouth. When you hear stuff, there's only some stuff that goes on here.
I just want to talk about the facial expression that changed when you were told that.
Well,
When all the color drained out of your face because you said, "Sir, I've had a bunch of those and thrown every one of them away."
I have. I've just literally I had 2 of them. I sold them to Timmy
I
Allison.
think we just lost Ben.
Yeah, no,
Yep,
that's smart.
we'll see him. We'll see when it's time to move.
Yeah.
I hate turnouts. And then those are like the Oregon style. I hate those.
If someone gave you a set, you'd run them.
Absolutely not.
After you cut them off.
I would exactly what I would do. I'd cut them flat. Absolutely not. Well, the vendors are packing in here. I mean, like,
there's gonna be
slowly
some
we
nice
got a bunch
stuff
of
here.
engines, a bunch of 03 cradle Boldens.
Ben's on his way. There's Ben.
Brian and I were looking at power steering units,
Yeah,
and they got
pretty nasty.
really nice Mopar setup there. I like all the setups. in
Yeah,
there.
I think
70 caddy.
Is it? So same as a 1, 2, 3? No, 70
No.
is the
No.
yeah.
No.
Yeah. I would have never guessed that.
It's gonna be hard.
I
gotta
feel
go
like
see
I
it.
might have put it on the green.
What's that?
I feel like I might have put it on the green.
You did. That was a nice lead up. That
Thank you.
was nice. You had a nice chip going, bud.
I did. I said I thought it looked like an older Cadillac, like a 68 or 69.
You're on a roll.
I'm just a dumb kid with a computer from New York. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about derby cars.
Whatever you say, Rain Man.
I mean, loves Josh. What happened? He going over there to confirm. He's gonna come back and say, yes, actually, that is what it is.
He didn't believe me. He didn't believe me.
He should know better than to second guess you.
I wish I had arms like Jason Brodzinski so I didn't have to wear sleeves. Look at them things hanging out, man. You need a special permit for them things, dude.
You got tickets?
You're handling cradle parts like that all day.
Yeah, you throw them cradles around like they do.
This is Tony Horn's car that we keep getting a look at up there on the list. Pretty good looking car, wouldn't you say?
What's that?
Tony Horn's car right here.
Oh, absolutely. I seen it when it came in earlier. Actually, like I said, that whole team. I mean, I was checking it all out. One of his teammates had a distributor issue in line there. They don't know if it's a module or a distributor or something. They're getting it fixed.
That's gonna be so hard.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Oh my god. Holy cow! I see what you're saying, dude. Holy cow. See,
So
out here with the plate rules and stuff, it all of a sudden takes cars that you would not even think about, and then it's like, okay, because I could change one spot, it's a game changer. Especially on some weird cars, such as, because not a lot of people have ever seen them because they say, the front of that's junk. They don't even know. I mean, looking at that, dude, there's a lot of pros of that
Yeah, I mean,
that frame.
The way the rules are out here, that's why I would say, old Merc, old Ford, big box Merc, or, old Ford, something like that. I mean, because out our way, people are struggling with it because of the way the frame drops.
Exactly.
Out here with that plate rule, it takes that right out.
Take it right out. Yeah.
A car that gets sort of overlooked in terms of what kind of the building on what Ben was saying, a car that gets overlooked out here is like a 63 or 64 Dodge.
63 and 4? Nah, I don't like them.
No?
Junk.
You said the same thing about what Cadillac again?
I don't care. That's what I think. I don't like those swoops in the front of them. I don't think that wide frame. I've seen them. I just don't.
The
I don't
thing
like
is,
that.
though, but you just touched on it. I mean, for the style build you can do here, those cars will be nasty tough because there's a weak spot. You can fix that weak spot, and then the rest of it's tough.
And the other
100%.
thing
They got a swoop just like Ben's saying.
when was the last time that one of those things came across the scales? How many of those you come across?
I do see them and I leave them. I mean, there's one up our way that's been passed around 40 times because I think guys want it because it's a Chrysler. Then they look at it and it's like, nope. You look at that front swoop and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but
you'd have to do some work to that.
Give it to Josh Corletto. He can fix it.
Yeah, because he can do we can't do the stuff Corletto can do. Corletto, you're the man.
Well, Ben can do the stuff Carletto can. We can't.
Yeah.
What is Corletto doing away from his cars?
He's
parts.
done.
No way.
He's buying parts.
He's going to the ski trailer.
Oh, he needs extra parts? Okay, I can see that.
Buying
Todd
some
sent him over
parts.
with some cash.
They inadvertently torched through the steering.
Whoops.
Corletto's a good dude, man. He's a worker. He's
Absolutely.
a worker.
That whole group.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So I
But
found
he's-
out that the sway bar that was cut off from underneath the 002 car, Steve Sypa had to remove that sway bar.
Don't
He
say
was very concerned. But it sounds like that's been fixed.
I think it's
Brodzinski's
going.
the man.
I think it's going to be fixed. I think it's in the process of being fixed. But,
Yeah, no, I think Jimmy's going to get one.
Well,
Well,
didn't say
I don't
that.
think Jimmy is. I think Jimmy's having a
Of
guy.
course.
I mean,
Jimmy,
come on.
Delegate.
I mean, Jimmy's no Josh Decker, but I mean, he knows people and they get stuff done.
Dude, I love Jimmy.
Yeah,
he was
a really
fired
cool
up this
dude.
morning. You see him at 8:30, and he's all fired up.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know we drew the winning ticket.
It's gonna be hard getting that thing home on the airplane.
No, Sam said if the winning ticket, whoever wanted it,
They'll deliver it.
ship it right to their house. So
Wow.
That can be the new crash course vehicle.
There you go. By Motion Industries.
No, I'm not doing anything for Motion Industries.
Just swipe the card, man.
I don't own Motion
Listen,
Industries.
listen. You swipe the
True
card.
statement.
By the time they get that thing, we'll have used that for a month and had a blast with it.
I'm being launched on my
I
card.
kind of disagree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Josh has been fired like 4 times this year.
The economy's bad when you're I used to be able to spend on my corporate card like
A lot.
Stop.
Just say a
stop
lot.
that sentence. Stop. Right
Just say
there.
a lot.
Stop right there.
they were way cooler back in the day.
Josh has been fired. He just shows up the next day to work, and they're like, "Okay, you stay."
Nah.
Josh.
Firing does not. I don't even fear that stuff. It is what it is. You just get another job.
It's just a job, right?
No, you got to have that attitude. You can't let people like own you like that. I don't know. It's just me. I'll go get another job. God damn it. Unless you're listening, boss. I love my job, sir. I'll see you on Monday. Now, it works. You know, we all see it. Like, look at the vendors that are here today. I mean, like, I kind of envy this because, you know, there's a lot of guys out here making money or making extra money to support their family doing a great job of it. And they're doing what they like. Some of us go to work, and I like my job, kind of, but not like as much as I would probably like being a vendor selling derby parts. Or, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
I do.
I kind of envy it a little bit because we all know that, you know, us here.
And you're talking about the vendors that are here. It's a little quiet this morning, but there are caravans of cars on their way here, and it is going to be packed.
Oh yeah.
Tonight, probably after 3 o'clock, it's going to be a steady stream of people.
Well, Friday, Saturday afternoon in here, it's just a mob scene, you know. It's just and they're just going to go through so much product, and it's all quality stuff, which is cool. You know, there's no crap here today.
No.
So, but you better have the cash. They got a bunch of ATMs laying around in case you don't.
Yeah.
You didn't bring it, you can get it out of the bank.
If there's checks in the book, there's money in the bank, right?
I should have like a booth here that's like quick loans. Quick, right?
They got them right out
45%
on the road out here. They got title loans. Show them the title, they'll give you your money.
Just nail the interest rate. Everyone would stiff me though. All of a sudden, I'd be bankrupt like my first week. You know.
Then you could pay me to collect.
It is weird out here that there's a million cash credit places. Like it says, like
Title
give
loans.
us your vehicle. Yeah.
Car title loans.
What the heck? You're in a bad spot.
What could possibly go wrong?
Do not do that. Anyone listening?
Why?
Huh?
Is that bad?
Yeah. Yes. You're not going to get ahead.
You might want to do that and come here and get parts.
Well, it's true.
Does the title happen to belong to a 1981 Crown Vic? Because if it does, you might not.
There's a Crown Vic just got delivered to my house, actually. It's like, take it back.
I wish I
out
could
of
just
there.
have cars delivered to my house.
I don't
Just
even want. It's a
delivered.
Vic. It's like,
Hey,
get it
here
out of
it
there.
is.
Other cars are going to get mad.
I wonder what it's like to be like Josh Decker.
$100 Vic, drop it.
Josh hired a guy to go to the airport and offload this built Vic off of a C-130. They delivered
right.
it. And he drove it off the plane onto the trailer and
You know-
took it to his house.
You know what's cool is we were talking last night with Todd Siopa. He's like, you know, we've always said if we win the Powerball, we're gonna buy a C-130 and just fly to derbies. Our whole team is going to every derby we want to run. And I was just like, that is so cool. I mean, because that's like a dream that we would have. You know, that's awesome.
The funny thing is, I could definitely see that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I had a good pitch for him, like, when he retires. You know, just that he starts his own racing team and doesn't derby, just, like, lets me be his head racer, you know, and then Brian can be, like, his seventh. Ben will be number 2.
Listen, in the words of Richie Predmore,
You got some of the main teams coming in now.
in the words of Richie Predmore, just tell me how far I gotta come to knock you out of your seat. That's all you gotta do. Just let me know.
No fear.
No one cares?
I'll smoke Brian. He don't even know what he's doing. Brian's a 1980s driver, you know. Slow and steady. Slow and steady, Brian.
I'd feel bad the first shot I hit you and that front bumper on your Y-frame was right on top of your carburetor.
I seen your bills. Your bumper would fall right off.
I feel bad. I guarantee you my bumper doesn't. I'll bet you the guy next to you.
Well, that's why. You had Ben do it. That doesn't
my
count.
bumper doesn't fall off.
Well, Ben can come to my house, too, and then we'll see how this game ends.
The most important things in my car, I get professionally welded in.
Speaking of that, you want to sell that rear end, the 8 3/4 caddy setup?
Yep, $500.
No way, dude. I just want the shell.
500.
200.
500.
Brian,
I didn't.
I gave you the shell. Who gave you that shell?
I bought that when a box frame back in the day.
Yeah.
Actually, I was talking with Ben, and I don't think I want to get rid of it.
You shouldn't.
I think that.
Just keep running caddies.
Well, yeah, no, that, but I think the way that it is, I actually think it helps me. I'll talk to you off air, but I think I think I'm happy that we did it with a box frame rear end.
Because of the extra thing on?
No, we'll talk about it
Okay.
after. But
Deal.
absolutely,
Narrower?
if
Oh, that's true. I liked how you're sitting in there. Hey, you know what? Now I remember that. What year? Yours was on a boxcar?
yeah, I'm sure you got 40 of those rear ends later on your house. You've wrecked a few from boxcars.
I'll run my Mosers in it. But yes, I have boxcar housings, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I haven't run one in a while. I've been running them out of like 68 Newports.
Yeah.
With inside beadlock.
Inside beadlock?
Yep.
Do you see some of the beadlocks that are here? Like Kenny Rosno's?
Oh yeah, there's
Yeah, there's some nice stuff.
Pretty big.
You ever think, Ben, like, let's say you had a narrow rear end in a car. You know, like Brian's was a prime example because Brian's really sat good inside his fenders. Remember, there was a big gap there. But does it ever get dangerous where you're too close to your rails? Or
We'll
do you
talk
think
about
the
it
rails
off the
are
air.
up?
Off the air.
It's a positive because you're pushing your tire into the rail, which then you just get bounced back. I mean, it's a thaw. I mean,
it's a catch-22 because if your rails start bending funky,
then if they puff out like a 80s Caprice would, then you'd start slicing your tire.
right? So it's a catch-22. That's what I say. If you can take the elements out, run inner beadlocks, frame shape, pump plates, whatever.
But then how do you do hump chains? Or you run it up over the top?
No,
I didn't run those last year. I've
Hump
never
chains?
run. Yeah, I didn't. That was against the rules.
that's where.
Well,
What I would do is if I've thought of it. If the links were too big, you could use like a stainless steel cable because you're not going to break a stainless steel cable, and it'll take up less space if you just do it that way, and then just hook it with clevises, or not clevises, but the clamps.
yeah.
bottom side.
Yeah. I gotcha. Oh, yeah, I gotcha.
Where
Yeah, exactly. You're going to
You think
weld.
that-
big link,
Weld.
bottom side.
Jesus, great idea. That's why you got Ben around here. You know, I would have never thought of it. Of course, duh. Because you can't pinch. Damn it, Ben.
How do you think that? Saw some creative interpretations of the shock rule in the pits today. How do you think that's what's going to be received in retech?
You know, I never done it, but I seen a couple that are cut, bent. Do you lose strength with that? Not really, because it's just like a big piece of pipe. Well, no matter how you cut it and bend it like this, it's still. But then you don't have the like this rigidity, right? Or do you, it don't really matter? Because then you're kind of like, I don't know.
Because you got the plate. I mean,
Oh, then the plate on the side.
The plate on the side just takes all that. We're not used to that plate.
Yeah.
So we see that as soon as you put that plate on there, I mean that pipe's just
Game changer,
extra.
yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
It's just extra.
Yeah.
It's just a gusset, basically.
Yep.
So the situation is that on the national bracket cars is that you can run 6 inches of box tube on the top of the rear end, and after that it has to be all thread. But it doesn't say anything about what has to be on the all thread.
Right.
So there's some creativity being done back there. We'll get into a little bit more of that.
Yeah, yeah. Where there's a will, there's a way. I mean, that's.
Doesn't say how many nuts you can stack on top of that all thread either.
Exactly.
Ding, ding, ding.
Exactly.
Ding, ding, ding.
So there's a good look at that 1970 Cadillac up on the lift now.
Foon. We've seen Foon run a bunch of places. Wadena,
Wadena.
Blizzard Bash every time, but Wadena we watched him. I think he was at Blizzard Winter Slam.
Midwest Mod Squad, I believe, is this team. Or is this the Minnesota Outlaws? I can't remember now. I think it's the... I'll look it up quick. But yeah, we've seen him run a number of different times, and he fits the mold perfect. He's out of his mind.
Yeah, no, he's a great. He drives hard and and I kind of like it because, like nowadays, the flash of your car. Again, we talked about this yesterday, but with these door wraps and I mean, guys are getting the paint jobs are so professional and stuff. But Foon's still old school, like with a brush, paint number 23 with a white household paint and a brush, and that's old school derbying right there, And I'm always for retro derby,
He's on a team with Rick Kostonek, who has been on like 3 different teams so far,
Yep.
being bounced all over the place. He finally got a spot that has settled in with the Midwest Mod Squad. Paul Maurice, Rick Kostonek, Tom Benjamin, and Jiminy Strelo. Jiminy's car is going to be a piece of work.
Yeah.
That'll be a good team for sure, Again, that division is going to be really good.
Yeah, that
It's gonna be really good.
qualifying bracket, we'll give a rundown a little bit on who's on that. Team Diesel, we saw them go through earlier. That's Hawk Ellis, Jim Ellis, Harley Lewis, Tyler Klassen. Tyler been real popular in the online picks for the Fantasy League in the green and white colors. DTD is green and lime green. That's Zach Crow and the Toxic car. Corey Hobbs, Tyler Baker, Tony Horn. We saw them going over the rails. Team X rated. Back again, Derek Clyden, Mike Bradshaw, Greg Neal, Justin Hill running the black and purple colors. Team Shanley Motorsports, the gray, black, and silver cars. Matt and Jesse Hoffmeister, Austin Shanley, and Kyle Wetzel. That's powerhouse team right there. Big time. Team Extreme, Tyler Jones joining Matt Ertman, Jared Haney, who won the modified feature at Crossroads, along with Colton Newhoffen. Colton Newhoffen been a very popular topic of discussion in the pits. Everybody waiting to see what he can do. I think he's won the 80s class at Winter Slam 4 years straight. And then he also, he's got 4 in a row over at Crossroads too, didn't he, at one point?
I know that
he had a
wins
bunch of wins
every
over
time.
at Crossroads too.
He wins every time. He's a great driver.
Minnesota style, Eric Millay coming all the way from California, Neil Jerry, Mitch Carlson, and Chris Lancaster. Those guys ran together when they won Wadina's Grand Slam team show 2 years ago. Minnesota Outlaws, Rick Quast, Brandon Quast, Tyler Quast, and Brad Hagen coming in gray, orange, and blue colors on those cards. Team Dark Green and Gray, Matt Raymer, going to be a guy to watch. Matt is such a fun guy to watch drive. Tim Toddy, Clinton Yeager, Darren Hall, they're going to be in dark green and gray. The Crazy Iowans, blue and orange. Nick Wolf, the other Nick Wolf, so to say, from Iowa, joining Lane Frericks, who won the youth division last year. Nick Frericks and Kevin Sargason. Twisted Intentions is the green and black cars, Justin Worstig, and Jake Benters teaming up with Chris Quick and Eric Jeffers. Jake Benters and Justin Worstig, another couple of heavy hitters. We're going to be watching them close as we go through the national and qualifying bracket heats a little bit later on tonight. Knockout Motorsports, some motor problems plaguing those guys, but nonetheless, I saw them out there in line. Justin Frericks, Ken Rosno, Daniel Ort, and Dylan Kunkel making up that roster. And as we talked about, the Midwest Mod Squad, Paul Maurice, Kostonek, Benjamin, and Strelo. Those are your qualifying team bracket, battling for the right to go into the national championship pool next year. And how much is on the line for those guys? It's not about money. It's about getting into that national draw.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's why they're going to be just as exciting, if not more exciting, than watching the main bracket.
Two things about that division. First, the national division is allowed hump plates. So after you pass TAC, they give you hump plates to go back and weld. Now, the cool thing about them, if you haven't seen them, last year they did the same thing. They actually etch UD and the make and model. They have different hump plates for Vicks, Caddies, Mopar, a GM, and they give you your hump plates and you go weld them on. Now, in the second bracket, and what do they call that?
Team qualifying.
Yeah, those guys are not allowed hump plates at all throughout the weekend. So, not that that's a huge difference, but it is. It is, especially on these Vicks. It's a game changer. So, you'll probably see cars even more junk in the second B team division because again the backs are going to be right up into the gas tank protectors. Just because the hump plates are going to be buckling and stuff like that. So. That's now another thing was this is also the division where you're going to see more homemade parts.
Yes.
Because it seems to me almost everybody in the national team bracket has a 1-inch ski ink protector. Yeah. I'd say 90%, Ben, and I don't even know 75%.
I'd say it's 90%.
A majority.
Maybe not. I would just say 90% have 1 inch.
1 inch, okay, fair.
Because you got a chainless make it 1 inch.
That's true. That's true. Chainless too. Yeah, that's true.
So I think a percentage is there.
But as we were looking around last night, you start to see that in the B division is more guys with half-inch protectors, homemade protectors, homemade tranny braces. You were just seeing more of that.
In a different thought process. I mean, like we talked to a couple guys, you're like, weird stuff's going to start happening. As hard as they are. So I'd rather drive a bent car than you can't drive a broke car.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know, so a lot of these guys have that type of concept, that type of mindset, you know.
Well, again, it's making them so hard that they become brittle. You know, they become fragile. And I think some guys, like you're saying, say, hey, listen, my car might not be as hard, but I can run it all night. I'll bend it, but I know it'll stay together.
Yeah, it'll be done 3 ways from Sunday, but I mean.
But it's going to run. And you're right. You're right.
The pink team, the pink camo team pulling out, and that opened up the door for Cheesy's team, the Busch Light team, to move from that qualifying bracket into the national draw, qualifying in through last year's qualifying show was Team JYD, which they've got some help from Postal Mopar this year for their national draw. As we see, this I believe is Thomas Benjamin's car coming up onto the lift, the number 100. And we talked with JYD a little bit this year in the pits about how important it is for them to, now that they've got that, to hang on to that spot, because they don't want to have to go back down to that qualifying bracket. Once you're in, you desperately want to keep your claws on that.
Yeah, because it's not easy to get in. I mean, guys know that.
Now, are they doing it this year to where one of the teams out of the national will be knocked out again?
I haven't gotten the specifics on that. I anticipate something like that happening. I got to get those details from Sam. Because last year it was 2. Last year the first 2 teams out because they had two different A features. The first 2 teams out. And I think that was where we saw one of the Mopar Express teams go out. And I don't remember what the other one was.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
I'm ready to wreck some iron.
Don't say that. That's bad.
Can't say wreck some junk, make some junk.
Oh, man. And I think that just cost you $100.
Let him come try to collect it.
He'll pick you up like a child.
Yeah, I doubt it.
I'm ready for a nap. I don't know.
Chris Marquardt, what do you think? What do you think, Chris Marquardt?
I'm interested to see what's about to back out of this black trailer.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Looks like a Crown Vic.
Safe assumption. Generally a safe assumption. What we got to do pretty much is wrap this thing up anyway. We got to go start moving our stuff upstairs.
Before that, let me just say something to everybody listening. Look it up yourself where to go get paid. You know, 5,000 times a day everyone's asking. I know that you see someone post where to go on to get the pay-per-view. Go look it up yourself. We have 1,000 people messaging me. Where do I go? Where do I go? Look it up yourself. Spend some goddamn energy yourself.
Wow, Josh.
I'm going to say that if you go to if you Google Blizzard Bash, a Blizzard Bash page will come up. On that page, there's instructions.
It gets frustrating because I have 45 times. I'm not writing blizzardbash.com 45 times.
That's
I'm sorry.
Actually not where to go.
Well, I don't care. You find out where to get it yourself. No, but yeah, I shouldn't have to.
Ben's probably the smartest person with us on this trip.
I know. He always puts his phone down. You're right.
It's ksexpo.com/BlizzBashPPV, BLIZBASH
Or
you can just go to blizzardbash.com and follow the links.
I'm sure it's everywhere. It's all over Facebook. Thousands of posts. Just look on one of them. What do I have to tell you? Do I get emotional today?
Josh, relax. Calm down. Go to your happy place. You got to think about happy stuff. Aren't you going to visit Colorado after this trip? You talking about going out there for a vacation?
I want to go to California next.
Why do you want to go to California?
I want to smash cars in California.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I want to go West Coast. I don't know, Blankenship. I got to get Steve Blankenship. Maybe he'll build us some cars and we can go Washington State, right? Oregon, maybe.
Oregon, Washington State.
What I want to do, one time, Ben, I want us to fly somewhere, for a week. Go buy a car while we're there. Literally go old school. Yep. Go find one, buy it, strip it old school, and, California is a little bit, I think that's a place you could go and be competitive, kind of like East Coast a little bit, where you don't got to go buy distributor protector and crap. You could just kind of strip a car and go. Borrow some stacks or whatever while you're out there.
Jason Dial's team coming through for Retech now behind us, the pink and black colors.
And for anyone like that's saying like I should be there today, yeah, you should. And next year you have to be here.
Are you directing this at Tommy Dowd?
Yeah, Tommy Dowd should definitely be here. Like this is his.
Tommy Dowd should have came in on his own plane.
He should I know he can afford
On
it.
his own plane.
He can afford it. He should hop in that $80,000 truck he's got, you know. But anyways, when you get down here, it's like you go through the back buildings, and it's awesome. It's so awesome to just watch all these groups and working on stuff, and everyone's real cool. It's not like New York where like you go walk 10 feet away and then a guy comes up and puts his arms out like, "What are you looking at?" You know, here it's just like
cleanest
"Hey, how you
cars you've
doing?"
ever seen, still being worked on.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be live tonight, probably somewhere around 6:30 on the pay-per-view with the Kansas Expo Center. Excited to be here again, working with Ultimate Derby Blizzard Bash in the Kansas Expo Center. That's ksexpo.com/BlizzBashPPV. That's your order links to get the online pay-per-view stream, and I think it's like $50 for the weekend. It's a pretty good deal. And we're going to be on there all weekend long. And tonight, 7 o'clock is the first round of qualifying for both the national and the qualifying brackets. So we will probably be back with everybody again at that point. It's all going to be on the pay-per-view then, and we'll probably do something again early in the morning on Friday, give you an update on everything that you missed on the overnight process. But that's going to do it for this edition of the Crash Course Live here at Blizzard Bash, and we will be back with you here in just a couple hours.
The Crash Course Podcast is brought to you in part by DerbyParts.com, Overkill Derby products at OverkillDerby.com, Boat Lockwood Motorsports, and the 2015 Keystone National, Scioppa Racing and ScioppaRacing.com, Ultimate Derby and Blizzard Bash 2015, Demo Derby Master, Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel at RecklessAbandonGear.com, and Derby Inc. Magazine. Live it, breathe it, be it, Derby Inc. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby Podcast,